Hi, welcome to Advent of Refactoring Day 9. So we often have templates which are rendering a whole bunch of things. Here's the template view for it. And we can see here it's rendering nicely. It's a list of stuff, a list of all of the events, and there's the content, sort of normal, nice content. It's loading in. And we want to add some JavaScript into this, maybe to display some maps or throw some analytics at some endpoint or do some kind of magic anyway. And so in the template, we need to add in that information, maybe the event ID or other bits and pieces of stuff, and then sort of get that information somehow. So how do we do that? Sometimes what people will do is to add them as data attributes, like say data ID equals event.id, and then data name equals event.name, on data description equals event.description, and then maybe we need an external URL as well for something, so we'll go like data external URL equals https www.external-events/event.id, and adding a whole bunch of these data attributes. And if we render this thing, you can see they're all loading in as data attributes nicely, looks fine. I don't think this is a good idea. For maybe one item, it's probably fine. Once you start getting lots and lots of them, and then you need to pass that data out into the JavaScript, you end up with JavaScript where you're sort of fetching all of the individual data set things, then doing stuff with them. It can get really quite clunky, and the HTML is difficult to read, stuff like that. So the first serious anti-pattern that say really don't do this is people take all of that stuff there, and inside here they'll do something like this: script, end script, and put all of these things here, and we'll say const data equals data ID is that, data name is that, data description is that, data external URL is that, and then do some stuff with this data thing that's been created here. And if we go over here and have a look at it, it kind of looks like it's working, right? But it's really not a great idea to do this. If there's issues in any of the stuff, it's going to make a mess. If there's quotes in the wrong place, things can break. If there's bits of script tags or stuff in there, all sorts of just weird stuff can happen. And it's just generally a bad idea. We somehow need to get that data into our JavaScript world though. So what I'm going to suggest we do, instead of doing this kind of thing, is get rid of all of that. I'm going to do all of the data building in Python. So it's going to say here, event.json data with the JSON script tag. Then in our views here, we can go for event in events, event.json data equals ID, event.id, is it title, event.title external URL equals https www.external thingy event.id, and so on. So you can add these things here, and we're building this in Python, which is much easier to understand. You can use all of your other Python functions and stuff. and we've piped it into a JSON script tag here. Pretty sure that's event name. We'll do that. Go back to here, refresh, and refresh the page here. You can see it's now put it inside an application JSON tag, and it's built it all as JSON. It's done all that in Python using proper JSON serialization stuff. So it's not going to have any errors or weirdness. You can't forget commas. It'll just work correctly. You can then find this script tag in your JavaScript and sort of extract the text from it. So rather than doing this event dataset type of thing, instead you could do something like const event data equals element dot query selector script. You can make it more specific than that if you need to. Dot text content. That'll be the text content of it, and then we just need to do JSON dot parse that. So now we've got all of that data in one go straight into our JavaScript, so we can do some cleanup and do whatever magic we need to do with it there. So that's moved it into the events here. This JSON data thing, we could have that as a method directly on the event object, on the class, rather than having it here. That would also be clean as well and be a good way to do things as well. This way you're not trying to build JSON in HTML using Django templates, which is scary and difficult and easy to get wrong. And you've got all of the data in one place rather than having hundreds of data attributes. So that's just a quick way to get a whole bunch of data into JavaScript. If you need to give it a custom name, you can also give it custom names. So events data, you'll give that as the ID. If you do put events data like that and refresh it, to put the ID as events data, ID should be distinct and separate for every type of thing. So you might need to put in like a separate title for that. For instance, we could say event.json ID, and then in here we could say event.json ID equals event data event.id. Here we go. Save that. Refresh that. Now each one has a custom ID, which makes it a lot easier to locate the thing. Thanks for watching.